We are extremely pleased that you are here.
So a few years ago, I went skiing, and I was going down the slopes, and this other individual and I occupied the same space at the same time. I went flying into the woods, and I hit a tree with my back and broke a couple transverse processes and then snapped this arm in half and ended up in the snow. First, I want to talk about the nature of accidents, but then secondly, when I was heading for that tree, I felt like I was moved in a way that I cannot describe, as if like being kept safe from something worse happening.
Yeah.
And then
That's always the case. We want to hear the rest of your story, your rest of your question, but we want to insert something really important here, and that is your inner being is always guiding you through your path of least resistance. And if there's no resistance, then the guidance is easy and everything is the way you think you want it to be. But if you've got resistance, still your inner being is guiding you, even given the resistance that you have. And so the outcome is always the best that it can be, given the resistance that you have. That's why releasing resistance is such a wonderful thing, because the less resistance that is on your trail, then the more instantaneous the manifestations you think you want. But sometimes hitting a tree turns out to be a good thing.
How's that? No.
In that, if you knew then what you know now, you would be able to acknowledge the correlation between what you were feeling pre-manifestation. You would have had a sense, because your inner being always knows what's coming.
Yeah, I did. I had a sense like the day before, like somehow I shouldn't go skiing. And then like something was going to happen. I had this just eerie sense. And then when it happened, it was like, oh, there it is.
And isn't that a good thing? That's what we're getting at, because that's how you come to trust. That's how you know. That's how you get a sense of your own guidance system.
So should I have not skied?
Well, today you wouldn't. If you had that feeling, you wouldn't, because you had that experience and you've come to trust your inner being in a stronger way. Some years ago, Esther was doing telephone consultations. She had more time then, and a woman was really not in sync with what we were teaching. She just wanted a fortune teller, and she wanted the fortune to be the one she wanted. And we were wanting to teach her how to create her own reality, and she wasn't too happy with us. And so we said to her, well, let's talk about something else. And so we introduced into the conversation the idea of blue glass, and stayed focused on it for over a minute. And she wasn't impressed with our presentation about blue glass. Why in the hell are we talking about blue glass? That was what she expressed. And then we said, all right, then let's talk about butterflies. Same thing. She didn't want to talk about. She wanted to talk about how to get to where she wanted to be, but she wanted us to help her circumnavigate her problems. She wanted us to make her problems go away. And then we talked to her about feathers for a minute or so. And then she hung up. Esther said to Jerry, she'll probably call and complain because she didn't get what she wanted. Jerry had not heard the conversation, and Esther is very scanty about what she hears. And so then they were in California, they were in La Jolla, then they went to lunch. And they parked their car in front of a hotel, got out of the hotel to valet park it, and on their way to the restaurant. And on the way, there was a shop, and Esther just felt such an undeniable impulse that she dragged Jerry into the shop, even though he was really not wanting to go in that shop. Her intention was so powerful. He went with her. And deep in the shop, they found a wall of blue glass. Really a big wall of blue glass, every color and texture and all kinds of different art pieces. Esther didn't register about it. Jerry didn't know what it was about. Blue glass isn't something that either one of them wanted or were looking for. So off they went. Once Esther had seen the blue glass, she was ready to leave and didn't even make any association. They had lunch, and then they went down to the cove. And there's a stretch of lawn before you get to the rocks and to the water there. And as they were walking across this big lawn, a flurry of butterflies so intense surrounded them and moved with them that for quite a while they couldn't speak without eating butterflies. And still Esther did not associate it with an activated thought that had taken place in that conversation. And then once the butterflies lifted off, a little boy came running up to Esther. Jerry said, "He looks like he knows you." And Esther said, "I know." And he handed Esther a feather that he'd picked up off the ground. And it was at that moment that Esther realized that those 3 subjects that had been activated, those 3 subjects to which Esther had no resistance whatsoever, had been activated in her vibration long enough that universal forces manifested them in a very short period of time. And so that's what we want all of you to realize, is that the things that you're not worried about, that you have no resistance about, they come easily. But the things that come harder, you think come harder because they are harder, but they're only harder because you think about them from your lackful point of view. So the key, what this message is about, is things that you're worried about, don't think about. And things that are thrilling, think about. You could play all kinds of games like, wouldn't it be nice if? That takes resistance out of things. Wouldn't it be nice if? Try to get out ahead of it in the dream state rather than in the problem-solving state. Because the universe is yielding to you proportionate to your ability to let it in. The visual that we would like you to hold, are you open like this, like come on in, or are you like this? How you feel is your indication. So when you start to get on an airplane or on the ski slopes or in your automobile and you feel resistance, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would not move forward with action until we had had thoughts that clear that. We would not move forward. We're not encouraging you to be guarded, and we don't want you to get overexcited about each and every emotion. But when something feels strong, it feels strong because you are determined to move forward into something that your inner being is not encouraging. That's what negative emotion always means. And so think about it. Even thinking a negative thought about someone, the reason it feels so awful is because you're moving forward into a thought and into a vibration where your inner being isn't going. So when you hate someone, even if you've got all the reasons in the world, you're still out on a raw and ragged edge without your guidance system. Well, does that mean your inner being's going to abandon you? No, your inner being's going to offer everything that it can offer. That's why you had that impulse. And can non-physical intervene? Yes, but non-physical cannot intervene beyond your vibrational offering because there is no assertion. Even the goodness that you're asking for the blessing of cannot be asserted into your experience. Doesn't that explain so much? Doesn't that explain unanswered prayers? It's not because they're not heard, and it's not because they're not answered, because when you ask, it is given. It's that you're not letting it in. And you can tell when you're not letting it in by the way you feel. So
if I would have hit a reset after I had that feeling that something was going to happen like the next morning and just cleared that, no accident.
Yeah.
That's powerful, because to know that you can the next day just reset it.
Well, does anything else make sense? Because when you think about it, you see, your inner being will always help you make the best of everything. And your inner being will always take you from wherever you are to wherever you want to be, from where you are. But humans stand in regret, like, oh, if I hadn't done that, then that wouldn't have happened. And if I hadn't done, and then you've got no guidance. And so the better it gets, the better it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. And so just start fresh. You know, here's some things that you need to know about your inner being. This will help you so much. This will help you so much. Your inner being never looks back. Your inner being never looks back. Your inner being is only focused from where you are forward. Your inner being is only looking at where you want to be and calling you there. That's all. Something else that would be helpful for you to know. What you call past, your inner being would call past. What you call present, your inner being would call past. Because the vibration of it is already set into place. So the vibration of that was set into place. Could you have prevented it? Yes, your guidance was strong enough that if you'd said, but that's not the message of this story. The message of this story is, even if you missed some guidance, it doesn't matter because there's always more.
Yeah, afterwards, it was a wonderful experience. I mean, the doctors were wonderful. The ski patrol was wonderful. The people in the ambulance were wonderful. I had this connection with other people, and then I had this story that helped a whole bunch of other individuals in a completely different way than I thought possible.
A story of recovery.
Yes. Ooh.
A story of returning to who I really am. A story of doesn't matter how bad it seems, it can always get better. In fact, it not only can get better, it can get really, really, really better. A story of no reason to push against anything. A story of no reason to have regret. A story of things are always getting better. A story of things are always working out for me. That story?
Yes,
Yeah.
that story.
Enough?
Thank you. Thank you.